Hi guys, welcome to Super Sews. My name's Sarah, thanks for joining me today. I'm back for Friday Sews for the first time in weeks and weeks and weeks. It's Friday, I'm filming, I'm hopefully going to edit and post today as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a turnout for the books. So today is the 22nd of September. I've mostly been doing wedding related sewing, which I think most of you know. So I thought I'd show you some updates, some other things I have planned, and there have been a couple of new patterns that I wanted to talk about as well. So I hope everyone's been well and enjoying all the other vlogs that are out there. But yeah, let's see. So you'll notice a few things already. So hanging up on the mirror there, you have one of my Flower Girl dresses. I now have finished pretty much all four. The only things I have left to do are work out the skirt lengths, and I might be adding sort of ruffle tiers in tulle on the bottom, but I feel like I can't really do that until the girls have the dresses on and I can sort of work out what we need to do. And they are not coming for another 2 weeks. So it's currently, yesterday was exactly a month till our wedding. Tomorrow, Saturday, will be 4 weeks to go. But I'm up north the week before that, so I basically have 3 more sewing weeks left. And the girls are coming like when I've got a week to go before I leave. So we're cutting it fine, but the plus is that I don't have to hem the tulle at the bottom, so I'll just have to hem the lining layer, and yeah, and then it depends if I put the ruffle layer on, but I don't think that's too time consuming actually in that type of fabric. So yeah, so I think I could do that in a week. I've kept my time off that week completely empty, so I'll just be able to sew. So yeah, so anyone who wasn't here when I spoke about these dresses before, they are the Serafina dress from Violet Field Threads, which comes in both a children's pattern and a tween pattern. It might even come, they do some adult patterns as well, it might even come in the adult size, I'm not sure. But I have, my Flower Girls are 2.5, 4, 5 and 10. And all I would say is make sure you go off their actual measurements rather than off their ages, because previously when I've sewn for kids, I've always just picked their age and they've always fit. But they all came up in different sizes to what their age would have been. So yeah, and obviously because it's woven fabric, you want to make sure the fit is good and they're going to be wearing them all day, so you want them to be comfy and everything. But I mean, the patterns are gorgeous. I have improvised the skirt. The pattern didn't come with pieces for the skirt, and when I messaged them about it, they never responded. And it's a bit weird because it doesn't sort of mention how to make your own, but I just made up the skirt pieces. But that's obviously easy enough. The bodice and the sleeves were the elements that would have been much more difficult for me to draft myself. So yeah, so positive experience, I would say. It was just, yeah, there were some elements that weren't quite as clear as they could have been. So you'd want some experience just to fill in those gaps, I would say. But they do make really gorgeous sort of occasion wear patterns for children. You might also notice this robe next to me. So this is the Closet Core Veronique robe. They released, I think it was like a set, like a pack of 3 loungewear sleep patterns last year. So there was this robe, I think there was an underwear like bra and knickers, and then there was like a little cami. And I zoned in on this straight away, although I've not actually seen many people make it. But what I wanted was, I wanted to make myself a robe to get ready in. But I didn't want to, I was looking at what's online, and a lot of it was quite like cheap fabrics, and I wanted something that I could feasibly wear again. Now I say this with a note that I am not renowned for wearing pale fabrics well. Like, they get mucky. I'm not a careful enough person. I have a dog and I'm just a bit of a messy Bessie. So I have, you know, the best laid intentions, which are to wear all of these ivory things I'm making on multiple occasions, but we'll just have to see if they can survive a life with me. But I zoned in on this pattern straight away. It had these sleeves, so they're not grown on, but they're sort of, I think, maybe a bit like more like a kimono type sleeve, but I think kimono sleeves are normally grown on, whereas these are separate. But it's got that dropped shoulder, it's got that like looser sleeve. yeah, I think it's just got a nice silhouette. It's quite fairly simple. And I'm not going to have photos to show you yet of these new makes because I want to sort of save them for best, which is on my wedding morning, I'll be wearing this and the flower girls will be wearing their dresses. So there will be pictures coming at some point that are a bit more detailed and that show you more of the garment. But for now, I'm just sort of giving you a sneak peek. So I'm sorry there aren't official pictures, but there will be in a month or two. So yeah, I used this fabric from Rainbow Fabrics and I bought it specifically with this robe in mind last year because this robe, it says it takes about 5 meters. I think I used a little bit less, but I wanted to find a fabric. I thought it's got these little jacquard, I don't know if you can see these jacquard hearts, and I thought it gives it a bit of interest, but without it being too sort of overtly twee is what I sort of thought. And obviously it's Rainbow Fabrics, it's dead stock, it's not really expensive. The quality of this one's pretty nice. It feels very smooth. It was a bit of a pain to sew with. Now on the camera I can see it's looking really crinkled, and actually in real life it doesn't look like so twisted. Like, it looks pretty good in real life, I'm going to be honest. It's just on the mannequin. But I had to sew so slowly when I tell you the amount of pins and like getting the neckband on was a complete pain. All of the other parts were okay. The neckband was a pain. It does, as I said, it looks a little bit twisty on the camera, but in real life it's fine. For me anyway, it's fine. It looks less twisty in real life. It's just like the nature of the fabric is just difficult, to be honest. There is a tie, which you can't see here, a waist tie, and there are also pockets. Now the pockets are a bit annoying because, again, because the fabric's so drapey, they sort of just like flop there. But again, I think that's just how this fabric goes. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're sticking drape on drape, and so it's gonna drape. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that, and that was something I was a bit stressed about sewing because of the fabric choice. But it's actually turned out really nicely. I know they originally, I think, had this in some different colourways. I think they maybe had a black one. They might have had one in that was like in pink or red or something. I can't remember. But I was drawn to this one straight away because I thought it'd be the perfect robe. And I think it will be the perfect robe. So those are the things I've been sewing up. I've got some other things sort of cut out, semi in progress. And I've got a couple. So I've only got 2 other things that I want to sew for the wedding specifically. They are a sweatshirt that I actually originally planned to make for my hen, which is with this French terry. It's just ivory, so it's just plain ivory, from Minerva that I was gifted as part of the brand ambassador program. And I was initially going to make this one for my hen that said bride on it, but instead I just didn't have time for the hen, and so I'm going to make one to wear sort of after the wedding and on our mini moon, and it's just going to have like Mrs. Q on it. So Nathan's surname is Quashy, so my surname will change. I'll keep Bailey for work and stuff, so I think I'll keep my handle the same as it is, even though no one can pronounce it. And yeah, so I'm going to just make that, and then I feel like I can just wear that around the house after the wedding without it being like, why are you pretending you're a bride, Sarah? You've been married 10 years. So that's one thing to make. It'll be quite quick. I just accidentally cut the sleeves. I used the Billy sweater pattern from Tilly and the Buttons, but I wanted it to be more oversized. So I sort of made it a bit more oversized, but then for some reason for the sleeves, I just cut them too short. Don't know why I suddenly switched off at that stage. So I ordered a little bit more of the French terry. So it's going to have like multiple, it's going to have like the sleeve, and then there's going to be like another bit of sleeve, and then there's going to be like a cuff. So it's going to be in parts sleeve. But I think we'll pretend it's a design feature. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be nice. So that's one thing. And then I also have from Minerva, I can't know if I've showed this to you already. It picks up like everything. Like if you look at it funny, it's covered in dust. It just picks up absolutely everything. But this is, I think you can see the stripes on there. It's like a stripe velvet, like stretch velvet. From this is from Minerva.com as well, also gifted. And this I'm going to use to make some Carolyn pyjamas, which is also a closet core pattern. So I'm going in for the closet core look for my wedding morning. So again, I want these to stay nice. So this is just how ridiculous being a bride is. I'm not going to sleep in those pajamas the night before my wedding. I'm going to just sleep in like normal comfy pajamas. And then these, I'm going to change into these nice fancy day pajamas with my robe for getting ready. Just so that they feel sort of fresh in the morning when we're getting ready. And I'm going to make I'll try and put a picture of the Closet Called Carolyn pajamas here. There are different versions. You can have them with piping, you can have shorts or trousers or whatever. I think you can have long or short sleeves. I'm going to go long sleeves, full length trousers, no piping. It's just going to be ivory the whole way. And then I'm going to use these little buttons, which just have this like gold with a little pearl. Now these, bit of a find. I went to Fabricland in Kingston and I was buying some other bits and bobs and bits for the big sew-off and stuff like that. And they had these bags of buttons for £1 and they had a bag of gold buttons. And I thought, oh, it's £1, I'll just get it. And it had absolutely loads of really nice buttons in it. So it had about 16, I think, of these little pearl ones. It had some like big, like really intricate pearl ones. It had some plain gold buttons. It had like, just like a real variety of different buttons. And it was only for £1. So what a bargain. Anyway, so I'm going to use these on the pyjama top because obviously once you get your hair and makeup done, the last thing you want is to be pulling a pyjama top over your head. So yeah, those are my last 2 wedding projects to be made. So I'm basically a bit ahead of schedule. You might not think so, but in my mind, your girl's ahead of schedule. So this weekend, Nathan's on his stag. He left at 5 o'clock this morning and messaged me. He didn't know where he was meeting them at the airport, didn't know where he was going. He's messaged me today to say, he messaged me like when they got to the airport and said they're going to Barcelona. So he's gone to Barcelona and he's not coming back till Monday evening. Now I'm working bits and bobs today and tomorrow and on Monday, but I just actually have the rest of the time to myself, got no plans. So I'm really going to be cutting and sewing stuff all weekend because, I mean, why wouldn't you? So I'm hoping to get all of the wedding stuff done today and tomorrow and then have Sunday to cut out some projects for our mini moon. So we're going to Scotland for our mini moon. We've got 3 nights in Edinburgh and 3 nights at like a country spa hotel in Loch Lomond. Not in Loch Lomond, by Loch Lomond. And yeah, it's going to be very relaxed. I think Nathan's only been to Edinburgh once, which was for one of my friend's weddings, and he obviously didn't get to see it much. I've done the Fringe there a couple of times, and I visited there several times other than that. So, but we thought it'd be nice for him to spend a bit of time there, and I haven't been in a few years now. So, yeah, so we're going to go and just do some sightseeing Edinburgh things. And then the 3 days by Loch Lomond are going to be just really relaxed. So I don't need anything crazy. For the most part, I'm going to bring dresses that I've already got for more smart wear if we go out for dinner or whatever. But I wanted some cozy makes for daytime. So this fabric was actually really expensive, but I just thought it looked really nice. And so I think, you know what, once the floodgates open with wedding payments, you're just like, what's another 50 quid? Do you know what I mean? And I know I'm going to regret that in a couple of weeks. So anyway, I ordered this knit fabric. So it's like a chunky knit. It says it has stretch, but it doesn't really feel like it's got much stretch. It's got some stretch. Hang on, let me open it up for you. So it's obviously got quite a bit of stretch this way because of the weave's quite loose. This way doesn't really have much or any at all much that way, but it's got quite a bit this way. I'm hoping to make, now I was planning to make like a cropped sweater, so which may seem weird, but I want to wear it with like a high-waisted skirt. I think those proportions are just better on me. I think that there's like a science to it being like 1/3 versus 2/3 is like good proportion. So you have to have like a long, I don't know, like it's either your top has to go 2/3 down and the bottoms are the bottom third, or your bottoms have to go like 2/3 up and then your top is the top third. Although I can't imagine that the first one would look very good. But anyway, I want to make a crop, but I want it to have like a big, like droopy collar, like a snuggly collar. But it's, as I said, it doesn't have as much stretch as I thought. in both directions. So I just need to be a bit careful because obviously you need to be able to get your head through. So, but yeah, so I'm going to make a sweater with that. Again, I sort of picked that project because sweaters are quite quick to sew and cut normally. But obviously I didn't take into account the whole drama of it not being that stretchy in one direction. But there you go. I think it's actually the same as I got some fisherman knit that was green from Minerva Fabrics last year. And I think it might actually be the same. The description on Minerva was slightly different, but yeah, it looks sort of the same and it feels the same. And then I'm going to make a skirt. So I'm going to self-draft this, but it's going to be very basic. So it's just going to be gathered skirt. I'm going to do flat front waistband and then an elastic at the back. And I'm going to use a fabric I already have for that, which is this fabric, Godmother fabric, that I bought ages ago. I don't know why I haven't used it. I'm terrible for buying nice fabrics and then just saving them. And I'm like, what am I saving them for? To make something. So I'm going to make like a nice sort of midi skirt. And I'm feeling like, just imagine it. I'm in Scotland. I'm wearing this midi skirt. I have this nice cozy jumper that hopefully I can fit over my head on. Nice little boots. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a look. It's going to be a look. I'm excited for that. So those are two things I'm planning on making. And then also, this hasn't arrived yet, but from Minerva Fabrics, I have ordered some, it's like a coating, wool coating fabric, sort of like a boucle tweed. And I'm planning on making just a little pinafore type dress. Again, I'm going to use a tried and tested pattern, which is the Cashmere Upton sleeveless square neck. I'm going to do the same skirt I did. I don't know if you remember, I used that pattern to make like an underdress for my organza black dress. And I just did a skirt with big pleats in it. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, and I think that'll be pretty quick to get done, hopefully. And then I can just sort of wear a long sleeve top underneath or whatever. So those are the things I'm hoping to make. I'm well aware that I might not get through those, and they are just luxury extra items. So it would just be a case of whatever's finished, and whatever isn't is fine. But I'm planning, if I get stuff done this weekend, I'll have 2 sewing weeks to get stuff done. I've kept my free time really empty for the next few weeks because there's just been so much, like there's wedding bits to do and people will suddenly message and be like, can you come have an appointment to pick this up or to drop this off or whatever. So I'm just trying to keep it free. So potentially I will have more sewing time than I've maybe had recently. So those are my plans for my autumn in Scotland wardrobe. So a skirt, a sweater, a little pinafore dress. That's what I'd like to get done. Anything else or even that is a bonus. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all of those things. So Safari is almost at an end. It's the 22nd of September, so we have till the end of the month. There have been so many good entries. If you're on Instagram, take a look at the hashtag. Obviously, leopard print has been the favourite. I'm here with my tiger print t-shirt at the moment. Leopard print has been the most popular, but in lots of different colourways. But there have been some really fun prints. There was one with whales. There's been dogs and fish and giraffes and tigers and, you know, and there was a really cool waistcoat yesterday with like these like bugs on it. And there was one, my friend Kate made one with like what's called space cats, which were cats in space. So yeah, just a really good selection on there. And I have been just very happy with how it's all gone and how many people have entered. Obviously, I think if I do it next year, I will have a better idea of how it runs. And I also am not planning on getting married again next year. So I should have a bit more time to make some more sort of interesting content, which I haven't really been able to do this time. But that's why you don't launch a sewing challenge the month before your wedding. But no, hopefully it's sort of been enough to get people going. And I've been just so happy with what people have entered and stuff. So that's amazing. Now, I just wanted to talk about a couple of patterns that have been released in the last few days that have taken my interest. So one is the new pattern from Cashmere, and it's called the Grafton. I'll put a picture here. Now, this is an interesting one to pick a picture of because basically it's a real mix and match pattern. So they call it a dress, skirt and blouse pack pattern. And it's a bit like the Upton dress in that it basically has loads of variations and you can make all sorts of things with it. So there's obviously, you can make a dress or you can make a top or a skirt. Great. There are loads of different necklines. So there's sort of like it's sort of like a square neck, but it's more narrow at the top. So I don't know what you call that, like a basque neck or something. There's a scoop neck, there's a funnel neck, there's a V-neck, there's a crew neck. There are all these different necklines. You can make it sleeveless or you can make it with sleeves of different lengths, some with cuffs, some without, complete variety. And then the skirt options, there are sort of more like, they look sort of like circly skirts, but I would say maybe a quarter or half circle skirt rather than the full shebang. Then they have one that looks like it has, I don't know if it's a full circle or if it's like, it looks like it has like circle panels at the front and back and then less wide panels on the side or something, but it's got a lot of volume. They have straight skirts, they have skirts with pockets, they have, they're like long, short, midi. They have, and they have this interesting skirt, sort of gathered, like tucked, so it has this like draped effect. Just loads of options. So you could make, there are just so many things you can make with that. It's just a really good pattern, I think, to have as a core pattern. Like with the Cashmere Upton dress, it's just such a good base pattern because it just gives you what you need to start out, and then you can sort of move out from there if you want a different type of sleeve or whatever, but it just gives you the base for all the things you need in a woven dress. And this is the sort of knit version of that. So it's all for knit fabrics. It comes in their full size range, but I think they're in 2 separate bands. So there's 0 to 16, and then is it 12? 12 to 32, yeah. And cup size is C to H. So you're really going to get that good cashmere fit. Yeah, I think it's sort of, I think it's £21 when I looked or something like that. But if you take into account how, like, you wouldn't treat it like a normal pattern because it just has so much, you're actually buying loads of patterns in one. I think on the description it says there are 400 combinations or something, so different garments you could get. And yeah, I'm definitely going to buy that one. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm definitely going to. And then the other one that was released yesterday was the Sew Over It Viola dress and blouse. And I thought what was kind of nice about this is obviously Sew Over It initially had quite vintage vibes. And I think it's good that they've branched out, that there are loads more options, but it's nice to have when they go back and do something that's quite vintagey. And this is, it's sort of like a shirt dress. So it's got a flat collar, it's got a button up front, it's got like a thick waistband, and there's a panel at the back of the waistband that's sheared. So you get like a really good fit at the waist. There's sort of gathering details, which look really nice. Nice little sleeves. And again, yeah, you can make it as a little blouse. I think Rosie from Sew Over It yesterday was wearing her blouse, but almost like as a jacket. So again, just a cute, versatile pattern. You can obviously make it in a really summery fabric, or you can make it in something that you wear with, you know, a cardigan and tights. It's just sort of versatile. So that's another one that's going to go on my list. I'm sort of excited for after the wedding is out of the way, and I can sew, like, we'll go on our honeymoon next year, so I'll do a holiday wardrobe for that probably, because we've not been on, we went to Paris earlier in the year for a couple of days, but we've not been on like a holiday, like a big holiday for years, since before COVID really. So yeah, so we'll make, I'll make some nice clothes for that. But other than that, it'll be quite nice to just get to sewing, making things that are for the my seasonal wardrobe rather than everything being about like wedding. Yeah, so that's it really. The only thing that I have changed for the wedding sewing is I was going to make these little drawstring bags for some of the kids. So for the flower girls, I've got them these little bags that I bought like a year ago in the monsoon sale, which are green with like stars all over them, because they've got their little star dresses and the adult bridesmaids are in green. So it all sort of ties together kind of cutely. And I'm going to put their stuff in for their sort of entertainment packs for the dinner in those bags. And then I was going to make drawstring bags for the other kids who are attending, with their activity packs in. But you know what? I just got to a point where I was like, do I want to be spending my time just sewing rectangles? No, sorry, Bob. So I'm just buying some paper bags with their names on. You know, I think sometimes you just got to admit defeat. I'd rather be sewing my big snuggly jumper and my nice little skirt than just going back and forth sewing rectangles. and the kids probably won't even remember them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I'm going to remember my snuggly jumper. So, yeah, so that's it really. I hope you've enjoyed the catch up. As I've said, it might be a bit sporadic between now until we come back from our Scottish break. Obviously, then I'll have a big catch up with you, show you some pictures. You'll get a better picture of this, the pyjamas, the flower girls, and my dress that I have not made but is beautiful, I think. I mean, that's how you should feel, isn't it, about your wedding dress? So I'll show you that too. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to see how I go. But thank you so much for your lovely messages of encouragement on the last video. I was in a high stress position then, whereas I'm feeling a bit more on top of everything now. So yeah, and I've got this weekend stretching out ahead of me and loads of time to get stuff done. So yeah, things are looking up, guys. I can get back to sewing a bit more again. Yeah, have a great weekend. Sorry I've yabbered on again for 25 blooming minutes. But have a great weekend. Comment below, tell me what you've been up to, what you think of these new patterns, if there's anything I've been making that particularly stands out. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Right, thanks guys.